Las Vegas is in trouble.
The number of people visiting Las Vegas is continuing its downward trend.
With visitors down more than 11% year over year, Sin City is experiencing one of its most dramatic slumps in recent memory. International visitors are down 13% as of June 2025, with Canadians and Mexicans, who together make up more than half of all foreign visitors, showing up in far fewer numbers than just a few years ago. While boom and bust cycles are nothing new to Vegas, this one feels different. Something has fundamentally changed in the city's soul, and not in a good way. Walk the strip today and the air of crazy magical fun has been sucked out, replaced with sterile corporate homogeneity. Between $16 beers, $38 margaritas, $50 daily resort fees tacked on to your hotel bill, $18 parking, and $10 water bottles, the nickel and diming is endless. And that's before you step foot on the casino floor, where 000 roulette, $25 minimum 6-5 blackjack, and nerfed slot payouts have become the norm. Las Vegas has always been about making money, but at least it used to entertain you while you dropped your paycheck. Now, instead of seducing you with free drinks, cheap buffets, and showgirls, it looks you straight in the eye, rifles through your wallet, and then flashes a card terminal asking if you'd like to tip 20, 25, or 30%. So how did things in Las Vegas get so out of hand? What's behind the sudden collapse in tourism? And can Sin City be saved? Or is it already too late? To really understand what's gone wrong, we first need to look at how the city used to operate. It might be hard to picture it now, but Las Vegas was originally built as an affordable vacation destination. At its core, Vegas was about hospitality, free drinks, $9.99 buffets, discounted or comped shows and hotels. Things were actually cheaper in Las Vegas than outside of it. Everything was subsidized by the real cash cow, the gambling. Starting in the 1950s, casinos raked in billions from slots, table games, and sports betting, and reinvested some of those funds into developing large-scale resorts filled with restaurants, theaters, and hotels. Some of those profits also went back to keeping the cash cow, the gambler, happy, fed, and most importantly, inside the casino. That meant free drinks, 99-cent shrimp cocktails, $5 prime rib dinners, and complimentary live shows. This model took place during the city's mob era, from the 1950s until the 1980s. But by the late 80s and early 90s, the FBI's RICO investigations forced the mob out of major properties like the Tropicana and the Stardust. In their place came publicly traded corporations and Wall Street financing. This marked the first major transformation of the Las Vegas business model. During the mob era, gaming was the undisputed cash cow, generating roughly 75% of profits, with just 25% coming from non-gaming attractions. But by the early 90s, gaming restrictions were loosened nationwide. This meant increased competition from Atlantic City, Indian casinos, riverboats, and eventually online gambling. Wall Street's response was simple. If gambling was no longer unique, the resort itself had to become the product. Vegas would reinvent itself, not as a gambling town, but as an entertainment destination. The corporatization of Sin City was now underway. Vegas would no longer sell cheap thrills. Every square foot of every resort would now be monetized. Every meal, every drink, every service turned into its own profit center. To illustrate, in 1952, an average hotel room cost $7 per night. By 1980, it was $35. And by 2025, that same room would run you around $200. And that's before the fees. Paid parking, $20 to $25 a day. Resort fees, $35 to $55 daily. $60 for early check-in. $50 to use the minibar fridge. And at MGM properties, even a $25 charge to have real plates and silverware with your room service. Even excluding some of the more ridiculous charges, you're still looking at a minimum of $300 per night. And when you factor in inflation, that $300 in 2025 still dwarfs the 1952 rate of $85, or the 1980 rate of $137. It's difficult to overstate the degree to which Las Vegas has become an exercise in nickel and diming the customer. Want a morning coffee in your hotel? That'll be $26 for 2 Keurig pods. Want to lie out by the pool at the hotel you're already paying for? That'll be $75 to rent a lounge chair. Fancy a breakfast sandwich? That'll be $40. Thank you very much. It's as if corporate casinos have forgotten the whole point of Las Vegas in the first place. The application of the corporate infinite growth model to the casino business has been an unmitigated disaster. As most intelligent people, including the mob, understood, infinite growth simply isn't possible. They knew you had to give people an incentive to keep coming back to Vegas, even knowing the games were rigged against them. That meant making every other aspect of Vegas so attractive that you didn't mind getting hosed at the tables. In fact, you still felt you were getting a fair deal. Legendary poker player Amarillo Slim said it best: "You can shear a sheep many times, but you can only skin him once." Vegas's new corporate owners also understood this, which is why, starting in the early 2000s, they started targeting a new demographic that didn't mind paying massive markups: the ultra-rich. The new Vegas would appeal to high-tech conventions, finance bros, and affluent tourists from around the globe. It would cater exclusively to high rollers, turning its back on the middle-class Americans who built it up from a dusty desert outpost into an empire of neon. In May 2023, while on a call with analysts, Caesars Entertainment CEO Tom Reeg made the shift explicit, stating, "You're kicking out the lowest end. I see no reason that needs to stop, or would stop." This was the vision for a new Monaco, a desert playground for Saudi princes, Asian gambling whales, and Silicon Valley millionaires. The only problem, the sweltering Nevada desert ain't the French Riviera. Plus, there simply aren't enough whales to fill all those suites. Meanwhile, without the cheap hotels, free drinks, the $9.99 buffets, plus the seedier aspects taking place in Vegas, there's little reason for middle-class Americans, Canadians, Europeans, or Mexicans to make the trip. Take a look at this chart showing the average household income per visitor over the last 5 years. In 2019, 43% of visitors to Las Vegas had a household income of $80,000 or less. By 2024, that number had fallen to just 24%. At the same time, visitors earning over $100,000 rose from 28% in 2019 to 64% in 2024. Vegas has indeed become the domain of the rich. However, slumping visitor volume, hotel occupancy rates, and gambling revenue indicate that all has not gone according to plan. As of 2025, revenue from gambling makes up just 24% of total resort revenue in Las Vegas. That might not sound surprising considering the rebranding as an entertainment destination city, but think about what that really means. Vegas was built on the fair game. Low table minimums, 3-2 blackjack payouts, giving any Joe Schmo the chance to wander in with a couple $100, gamble for a few hours, and maybe hit it big. This kind of gambling is a thing of the past on the Strip. $5 minimum blackjack tables have been replaced with $25 and $50 minimums, and that's for watered down 6-5 blackjack. If you want to play 3-2, you'll need to find a high limit table, often with $100 minimums. To illustrate how this changes things, in blackjack, the rule of thumb is that you need 30 to 50 times the table minimum to survive normal variance. For a $5 table, that would be $150 to $250. At $25 minimums, it increases to $750 to $1,250. And at a $100 table, it's a whopping $3,000 to $5,000. Expecting the average tourist to drop $2,000 to $5,000 to try their hand at blackjack is absurd. And the changes go deeper than just price. In 3-2 blackjack, a $10 winning hand pays $15. But in 6-5 blackjack, that same hand pays only $12. That single change shifts the house edge from roughly 0.5% to nearly 2%, making it 4 times worse for the player. Roulette tells a similar story. The classic single zero tables, once standard, were replaced by double zero versions years ago. Now, casinos are rolling out 000 roulette, raising the house edge from 2.7% to over 7.6%. With the illusion of the fair game gone, even the gamblers have started to disappear. And with the gamblers gone, the question becomes, what was the point of this whole thing in the first place? As if the situation couldn't get worse, another issue is now plaguing Sin City. The old Vegas slogan, "What happens here stays here," feels outdated and quaint to a generation raised on Instagram and TikTok Reels. But the problem runs deeper than just branding. Millennials and Gen Z simply don't have the same disposable income their parents did. And when they do gamble, they're doing it on their phones. According to a 2025 TransUnion survey, Gen Z betting activity fell across all venues, save for online sports betting, where it grew by 7%, and online casinos, where it remained steady. Worse still, the mystique that made Vegas magic is gone. The rich tapestry of old-school landmarks, the Tropicana, Riviera, and Monte Carlo, has been replaced with the bland uniformity of MGM and Caesars. The elaborate variety shows are gone. The showgirls are gone. Even the free spectacles that once defined the Strip, like the Mirage Volcano and Treasure Island's Pirate Battle, have been quietly phased out. Corporate bean counters justified these decisions as these attractions didn't directly generate revenue. But that's fundamentally the wrong approach. Not everything in Vegas was meant to be a profit center. Those shows, those freebies, they made guests feel valued. They made the city feel alive. And when you strip all that away, when you turn every corner into a balance sheet item, it's no wonder the whole thing is collapsing. Vegas is acting like it's 1975, and they're the only game in town. But the reality is they've never had more competition. Today, every US state except Utah and Hawaii has legalized gambling to some degree. The National Indian Gaming Commission reported tribal casino revenue of $43.9 billion in 2024, a 4.6% increase, mostly driven by the California and Northern Nevada regions, both direct competitors to Las Vegas. Meanwhile, online gambling is experiencing an unprecedented boom, with projections putting global revenues at $105.5 billion in 2025 and $286 billion by 2035. Internationally, the picture is just as striking. Canadian online casinos are expected to generate $8.7 billion by 2030, growing by more than 14% per year. Mexico, likewise, is thriving. Cancun, Mexico City, and Monterrey casinos are drawing more visitors than ever, especially Americans, thanks to cheap flights and bundled resort packages. The Mexican market alone is projected to climb from $2.7 billion in 2024 to $4.2 billion by 2033. Vegas no longer holds the monopoly on fun. And once visitors feel like they've been taken advantage of, it's nearly impossible to win them back. You can see the same thing happening in places like Tulum or Niagara Falls, destinations that overcharged, overbuilt, and forgot what made them special. You can rip people off once, but don't expect to see them ever again. And worse, the reputation that took decades to build, it dissolves faster than you think. To quote the movie Casino, in the old days, dealers knew your name, what you drank, and what you played. Today, it's like checking into an airport. And if you order room service, you're lucky if you get it by Thursday. Las Vegas was once the greatest show on earth, a city that promised escape, where for one weekend, anyone could feel like a high roller. But today, that fantasy is fading. The crowds are thinning, hotel rooms sit empty, casino floors that once pulsed with life are eerily quiet. Righting the sinking ship won't be easy, but Vegas has reinvented itself before, and can do so again. What's needed is a return to what made it great, starting with an end to the nickel and diming. Get rid of the nightly resort fees, paid parking, and overpriced everything. Lower table minimums, bring back fair odds, no more 6-5 blackjack or 000 roulette, and make gambling fun again. When a trip to Vegas becomes an exercise in extreme budgeting rather than a weekend of wild escapism, that's when you know it's time for a major pivot. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and watching one of these two videos next.